Please, can we have him come forward to the front row here? Welcome, Mr. Babatunde. Please give him a round. Cyber criminals review of policing strategies in Nigeria. We have Mukhtar Bello, senior forensic investigator, EFCC. Is he here with us? He's a wonderful speech and lecture. Sir, are you using the? Yeah. Okay, sir. You have a presentation. Morning.
Morning, sir.
To read this way, cybersecurity and capacity building for Nigeria, the way forward. It's when I was given this to talk on, I just reflected on some moment we had in Baton Rouge and the US in the University of ICT University. We were talking about this while I was doing some little work of mentoring young PhD students at the ICT University in Baton Rouge in the Southern University in Louisiana. And I thought I should just put a glimpse of this to help us understand what it is. This introduction, which is just about that very page, observing from the program, it's like we have talked so much about cybersecurity, cyberspace, and so forth. So I wouldn't take much of our time in talking about this, but just to say that the cyberspace is growing at a speed unprecedented. If you look at it, it's that over 3 billion people are now connected to the internet through cyberspace, a figure growing rapidly and estimated to reach 5 billion people using 5 billion devices by 2020. This is Evans' postulation since 2011. And by now, I'm sure that if we have to go by Evans' postulation of 2011, in 2017, we should be talking about over whatever you call it. It's a world that is open to amassing. It's a world that is open to, okay, let me be better than who you are, and so forth. And when we came into this world of cyberspace, it has now become a new environment where today we're talking about buttons, we're talking about simple gadgets and other things that we use for empowering an individual to do what he wants to do. It is therefore crucial to research on how to build capacity, cyber capacities in developing countries, as cybersecurity is a response to the threats to a well-functioning cyberspace through the empowerment of individuals, communities, and government. This is crucial for achieving a country's developmental goal, as it reduces the digital security risks stemming from access to and use of cyberspace. Rarely has something been so important and so talked about with less and less clarity and less apparent understanding. When you begin to talk about the cybersecurity issue, the more you talk about it, the less you understand what it is all about. This is exactly what we're saying. Why is it important? Why is there a gap in it? Everybody is talking about the space today. Everybody. Can we go to the next slide? I don't know why this is not work. By 2001, I had a problem. I took from this has culminated into a major book today. As late as 2001, just see, the director of FBI did not have a computer in his office. Is that surprising? It's just 16 years. The U.S. Secretary of Defense would have his assistant print out an email to him, write his response in pen, and then have the assistant type them back. This sounds outlandish, except that a full decade later, the Secretary of Home Security, in charge of protecting the nations from cyber threat, told us at the 2012 conference, don't laugh. I just don't use email at all. I'm so rapid today. Cybersecurity is one of those areas that have been left to only most technically inclined to worry their compeers over. Being free from danger, as it's commonly conceived, that is associated with the presence of an adversary. So the center of everything we're talking about is that, okay, now, in this cyberspace, we have an adversary. Are we there? This is the language now. This is where it starts. When you talk about cybersecurity, you're saying that, look, we have an adversary in the space. This wider world has an adversary. And who is this adversary? That is just the language. Because we often have a secured environment, a secured Nigerian environment, a secured African environment, is that in African environment or in Nigerian environment, we have an enemy. Or the global space has an enemy. So cyberspace is first and foremost an information environment. One, it is made up of digitalized data that is created, stored. Are we there? Oh, this is exactly what we're talking about. Within the system that we're talking about, within the space we're talking about, and within the environment we're talking about, we have an adversary. And this adversary is using this technology today that has been propelled to assist man in doing his business. So we're talking about a system that we have produced to help us work, and yet, within the system that is produced to help us work faster and more efficiently, we have an enemy within. We need it in a layman's language for us to understand what is happening. Within an environment that God has given us, within an environment that we're supposed to work well and live well and help ourselves and produce the resources we needed and develop to the level that the brain can give us to develop, there is an enemy within. So of recent, for instance, in the UK, I was just talking with my son who just graduated, he just finished his master's in artificial intelligence and computer science robotics. And he's with the health system in the UK, and suddenly he told me everything is shut down. People can't get their files through, people can't be treated. They are walking towards finding a way out, and suddenly they started paying, people started paying ransom for somebody who has just attacked the system for it to make up something out of it. So what are we saying? When we talk about cybersecurity, what is it? Cyber problem only becomes a cybersecurity issue if an adversary seeks to gain something. So we wouldn't be talking about this security issue today, cybersecurity issue, but we're talking about it today because there is somebody who wants to get something out of it. He wants to gain something from the activity, whether to obtain private information, undermine the system, or prevent its legitimate use. Building a cyber-secured Nigeria through capacity building. This is exactly what I'm told to do. And this is where it starts also. The world has changed and we know it. And it's changing and will continue to change at a very fast speed. At the click of a button, the world is going. We are now dependent on internet or everything from commerce to communication and to even conflict. E-commerce, e-business, e-what, and e-education, e-everything today. So we're talking about it's from e-commerce, e-trade, to e-communication, to even e-conflict. Some of us who are conflict experts, we're talking about using the net today to do some pre-negotiation, and then trying to clear some of these issues. And so we're talking about a space that is so fast changing, everything is becoming E. So now we say cyber capacity building. We have the same for everyone. So if we want to have a one fixed answer to how to build capacity, we may not find one. Because the cyber capacity building challenges are not the same for everyone. 2, cyber capacity building priorities are not the same for everyone. The other one is cyber capacity building challenges. This one is cyber capacity building priorities. Then there is no one size that does fit all, but it fits most. Cyber capacity building requires international coordination. It requires stakeholders cooperation. It requires, it's not a priority, but it should be a priority. Building is not a sprint, it is a marathon. Okay? How do you pronounce it? Is it the CISEN? The CISEN, okay. CISEN is talking about Cyber Security Experts Association of Nigeria. What are they championing? Championing cybersecurity awareness and readiness. So what are we talking about? We're saying that the importance of capacity building in this cyberspace is increasingly acknowledged by government, not just government alone, by international organizations, not just international organizations alone, but by also private sector practitioners and specialists in this area. While the pressure on everyone is to deliver results is mounting, the focus on quick gain in short periods should not overshadow the ultimate goal, providing a resilient ICT domain that supports economic and social progress. Security needs. It is not military cooperation, but about fighting crime, building resilience, and creating a safe environment in which individuals and nations can develop. The military has its role. It's not military entirely. It affects every facet of our lives. And when you talk about security today, you don't also limit it to just issue of protection, to just issue of territorial integrity or whatever it is. It is to secure the environment, it is also to bring peace, it is also about the economy of the country, it is also about an individual in a state, it is also an idea that an individual could lie down and sleep with his eyes closed. Then you have a secure environment where you will go and close your eyes and sleep. The next day you wake up and continue to do what you're doing. So security today has metaphors from just military aspect to human security, and we're even going beyond human security today to talk about the welfare and the secure environment. So we're talking about fighting crime when we talk about cybersecurity. We're talking about building resilience. We're talking about creating a safe environment in which individual and nation can develop in both economic, political, social, and military-related realm. It needs to be addressed in the context of their impact on good governance, transparency. This is the central focus of it. Whatever you're doing today in terms of trying to get a secure environment, you're talking about just curing, addressing an issue within the context of its impact on good governance, of its impacts on transparency, on legitimacy, accountability of government authority and officials, on human rights, on right to privacy or economic freedom, on online transactions, on counter corruption, completely different thing. If I have to say for private sector, it's completely a different thing. To bankers, completely a different thing. To other aspects of security agencies, a completely different thing. So that we have a common trait to this. Capacity building is necessary a multi-stakeholders endeavor. As cyber capacity span the public, private, civil society sector. Here is a non-exhaustive list of actors that may be involved. Probably look at it. I don't know where you belong to. Ministries, information technology experts, defense, interior, foreign ministry, affairs, education, health, economy, commerce, transport, justice, and attorney general's office, academia, governance representative, internet society chapters, criminal justice community, intelligence community, and professional culture enables knowledge sharing. This is just what we are doing, just knowledge sharing across the institutional silos and improve interprofessional communication and understanding. It also enables a more holistic understanding of cybersecurity discussed from various angles: technology, law, economics, societal perspective, and international relations and diplomacy. Regardless of whether a new capacity building process, now we're talking about for whom. The capacity building program needs to be adjusted according to specific targets. When you're talking about capacity building, you're talking about enhancing knowledge and understanding in the area of security, cyberspace, and what have you. So it is completely a different thing for a military man. It is completely a different thing from an academia. It is completely a different thing from a security sector person or somebody who is coming from a company or from the banking sector and so forth. So I said, to build capacity needs to be, we need therefore to target specific audience. Thus the main starting question is, but the understanding of whatever it is that we want a secure environment, and therefore we want to begin to be knowledgeable on how to apply the knowledge and skills we have in addressing cybersecurity issue from whatever point of view we want to. The man at the management level has completely a different environment. The man at the operational level completely with desire a different capacity building effort. So everyone, from the technical perspective, from the student, youth perspective, activists and governmental institutions, we have them at completely a different level. So therefore, the most important aspect of this is, I'm giving just 20 minutes, and I'm almost there, okay? So this is exactly what we're talking about. Once we're talking about capacity building, we must have to look at them at the various levels to which we're talking about. Once it comes to technical, once it comes to operational level, once it comes to managerial level or coordination level, and whatever aspect of field you have, then you begin to talk about it from there. In conclusion, this is what it is. The building program is not easy. It requires sustainable funding, because funds, this is one aspect that we must have to build in mind. If we need to develop capacity, we must have a sustainable funding for it. We must have the skill to do that, continuity and comprehensive methodology and analytics. Beyond a triangular format. It is not also within a rectangular format. It is not within a cycle. It is multi-dimensional, it's Pentagonial in its approach. So from whatever approach you want to build capacity, you must have to begin to think about engaging the exact skill, continuity and comprehensive methodology and analytics. And then you're talking about in developing a new program or engaging within the existing program, it is important to look into specific elements. Which aspect are we looking at within the space that can ensure the desired impact? There is a number of existing capacity building programs around the world today which should be mapped and utilized. And I said here, Nigeria, and in whatever aspect way, look for one that suits your demand. Thanks.
Please hold.
And then we'll be ready to start. How to build a resilient cyber defense at the endpoint. So we're going to focus really around endpoint security. We'll give a quick vendor intro. We'll discuss the challenges around traditional protection, go into a little bit of detail with regard to ransomware, and then talk in terms of a whole new model and approach to endpoint security. From a company perspective, we've been in the business of protecting endpoints since 1990. Today we protect some 200 million devices. We're a global company with over 600 employees. And we have a significant growth on the African continent. You'll notice a lot of these companies are in demanding environments, so transport and logistics companies, financial services, retail, and a number of these companies have highly distributed environments operating in multiple African countries. We're a company that is driven by innovation. Back in 1998, we were the first vendor to deliver daily signature files over the internet. Since then, we've gone through various phases. We were the first vendor to deliver security from the cloud, and more recently we've introduced groundbreaking EDR technology, and we're the only European provider to be included in the Gartner Market Guide for EDR. And we're unique in combining endpoint protection and EDR. So today we're dealing with highly complex environment, and we have to be aware of the range and complexity of the threat types that we're faced with, and then ensure that we invest in the correct technology and have the policies and processes in place to address these multiple threat types. And increasingly we're seeing that the endpoint is the target. So there's a significant trend towards endpoints being targeted. And this gives cause to put more budget and more focus in terms of endpoint security. It's tended to be neglected somewhat in favor of network security. And of course you need both. So the big issue that we're faced with today in threat terms is ransomware. It's not the only threat, of course, but it's the big critical issue. And it comes at us through multiple infection vectors. So A lot is delivered via spam emails, hacked and compromised websites, can come in from inside the organisation. And of course, what we saw last week for the first time with the advent of the WannaCry crypto ransomware was the use of a network worm technology as a carrier. Ransomware is not a new problem. It goes way back to 1989, but what you can see from this graph is that the volume of ransomware attacks is increasing exponentially and becoming more sophisticated. We're also seeing it moving beyond victims being exploited purely for money, but we've got DOCS type ransomware which blackmails users in terms of information, so threatening to disclose the user's information. And then what we saw last week was, of course, an attack on a global scale in terms of WannaCry and the use of a worm to spread that malware on a massive scale. If we look at who's being affected, the truth is nobody's immune. We're seeing ransomware on different platforms, and what we are seeing, of course, is random attacks, but then targeted attacks on industries with high-value data, so healthcare, government, and the financial services sector. And it's become a big business. In 2016, it was estimated to be $1 billion US. So the first question is, what can I do to mitigate these threats with the tools that you have today? And there are some standard best practices that we would definitely promote and encourage you to implement. That includes anti-spam and content filtering policies in terms of restricting user access and control, user education, staying up to date. In terms of patch management, again, with WannaCry, what it exposed was how far behind organizations are in terms of maintaining Windows patches. And then finally, backups, of course, are key. Concentrating on endpoint protection and antivirus and its role. So the challenge we have is that antivirus in itself is no longer effective. It still has a place, it still does a job in terms of blocking commoditized malware and malware that is recognized and that includes ransomware URLs once they become known. What we're seeing in practice is that there's a dwell time issue where malware is not being detected. You can see from the study represented here that 18% of malware not detected within the first 24 hours, and even after 3 months, 2% of malware lying on corporate networks undetected. One of the challenges is that we're seeing malware replicated so quickly and variations produced. So within a minute, we're seeing malware replaced by a new variant. It does the same job, but looks different, can't be recognized by your AD. And then there's a whole range of tools out there that are available to malware writers that they use to bypass antivirus. So Scan.me, for example, allows attacks to check files against all the common AV programs. The good news is that there is a valid industry response to the new threat landscape that we're dealing with. And in endpoint terms, there is the advent of a new paradigm, which is referred to as endpoint detection and response, or EDR. And there are four components to it. The first is the ability to detect security incidents, doing this by monitoring endpoint activity and objects, and looking for policy violations and fully monitoring process in terms of communications and software activity. The next thing is to contain the incident at the endpoint and to be able to isolate an endpoint that is affected. Thirdly, where an incident does occur, to be able to investigate what has happened and establish an indication is that we have to validate every running process as either malware or goodware. And then in our third phase, we introduce endpoint hardening and enforcement, where we're able to block dangerous and suspicious processes. So here's a comparison in terms of the approach of traditional AV and adaptive defense. So with traditional AV, it is blind to anything other than malware. With adaptive defense, the monitoring of all running processes allows us to positively validate goodware and malware. And we've been working with this technology in production with our customers for over a year, and the effectiveness of it is brought out in some of the numbers that you can see here. A new model that's protecting over 1 million endpoints and servers around the world, and some 12,000 customers. And it's proven to be highly successful in hardening endpoints and dramatically improving the security and safety of endpoints in a way that traditional AV just can't match. And we saw this very much last week, where we had customers running adaptive defense who were not infected and were protected from WannaCry. And the information being gathered by our adaptive defense agents has been able to help us understand the nature of that attack and guard against further iterations of it. So I thought we would just very quickly give you a quick console view. And then just scrolling down, what you can see within the console is that we reflect a high-level view of trusted programs, malicious programs, and potentially unwanted programs. And as we know, in terms of AV, all you're picking up is malicious programs, not the trusted programs. So you see the concept there of validating your trusted program. And then if we cut them down, you'll see in AD360, which combines our endpoint protection and our EDR technology, very quick comparison of the Infighter 2 engines. So I'm going into our AD engine. And what you can see is a list of detections. We get the computer, the name, the path, the action taken, and the date. And that's as much detail as you get, and this would be common with AD products generally.
Which basically allows you to be able to actively respond and mitigate against threats in a way that traditional antivirus wouldn't be able to. Part of what it was trying to show you on the console before they had the network problem is that apart from the console, it shows you the anatomy of the attack. It tells you from which country the system is being attacked. If the information is being downloaded off that computer to a remote site, it will tell you the IP address where that information or data has been stolen from, and it basically cuts off, the communication. So basically, it gives you more information that you can actually use to fine-tune your configuration on your firewalls, for example. So you can know what access lists to update, what IP addresses to include in your firewalls, for example, to mitigate that attack. If you've got IPSs, it gives you information that you can use to further fine-tune your IPS. So apart from protecting the endpoint, it gives you more information that you can use to further fine-tune the network perimeter devices as well, so that at the end of the day you have a more holistic security setup in your environment. And it gives you all that in a nice graph that doesn't look too technical, which you can actually print out and show management, for example. So that you can use it for you to get budget approvals, for example. It gives you a graphical interface that you don't need to be an IT professor to understand. Something that you can show not 90 people, like your BDs or your MD, and you can get a sign off for whatever you need to further protect yourself. So that's, in a nutshell, that's basically what the Adaptive 360 is. And with it, you don't need to have, because it's also got a traditional antivirus, you don't need to have another antivirus running in your organization. Once you buy that product, it replaces both your antivirus and it gives you that computer forensics capability. But for those that are maybe they have policies or global organizations that have a policy that they must use a particular antivirus, there's a secondary product to use is called the Panda Adaptive Security. The one we're talking about is the Adaptive Security 360. There's a secondary product is the Panda Adaptive Security, which basically gives you just the forensics part of it, the EDR part of it, and doesn't have the AD. So that can coexist on your endpoints with any antivirus. It can coexist with Symantec, Kaspersky, if you don't want to take off, the AD that you're used to. But with the Adaptive Security 360, you don't need any other antivirus, and actually that can coexist with any other antivirus because it's got an antivirus inbuilt. So with that, we've got the two products in one, and that's basically the product. So I don't know if you've got any questions. Cyber criminals review of policy strategies in Nigeria. Please join your hands together as we make welcome Mr. Mokhtar Bello to the podium.
Permit me to start on existing protocol. I would like to also apologize for my voice, as I'm just recovering from a terrible cold. So as soon as the slide is up, we can get another started presentation. Thank you. An oil tycoon, or a son of a dead African dictator, or rather, a handsome prince offering you wealth, riches, and marriage proposal? If your answer is yes, you probably have received a scam email. As technology becomes smarter, innovative, and more accessible, so have criminals. Cyber criminals are the Al Capones, the Escobars, and the Noregas of the cyber world. They are organized, they are sophisticated, and most importantly, a menace to our society. In 2019, Juniper Research, a leading market analyst, predicts that cybercrime will cost individuals and businesses a loss of $2.1 trillion globally. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mukhtar Bello. I'm a final year doctoral candidate at the University of Salford, Manchester, doing a PhD research on cybercrime in collaboration with law enforcement agencies both in the UK and Nigeria. Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. My experience as a law enforcement officer hardly forms my rationale for pursuing this research study. For investigators, the analysts, and even the judges, the problem is further compounded by limited resources, lack of skilled manpower, and inadequate laws like the Data Protection Act. For example, when I go to court to present my evidence, it's either the judge is not aware of what I'm trying to say, or he has little appreciation of the evidential value I'm trying to present in court. Also, there is little research in policing cyber criminals in Nigeria, within the academia, policymakers, and that has created a gap between not just policymakers, but also practitioners like digital forensics experts, as well as people in the law enforcement community. You can have my slide. Of cybercrime. This presentation seeks to understand cybercrime within the scope of routine activity theory, which argues that for crime to take place, 3 requirements must be present, namely a motivated offender, a suitable target, and an absence of capable guiding. The research videos and common skill sets are more likely to tackle a common enemy, cybercrime, more effectively. In order to review policing strategies used in Nigeria for the past decade, one needs to review the laws, the approaches, as well as the technology used by both the investigators as well as the criminals. Up to May 2015, legally speaking, there was no cybercrime committed in Nigeria. That's debatable. Nigerian legal system had to make use of laws like the Advanced Fee Fraud Act and the Criminal Code to investigate such crimes. By interviewing members of the criminal justice system in Nigeria and also members of the Cybercrime Advisory Council, I was trying to grasp the enormity of the problem and also better understand the phenomenon of cybercrime. These studies showed that amongst the law enforcement agencies, the EFCC was more effective, plus better prepared to handle cybercrime. This study also validated an earlier study done by the National Bureau of Statistics in 2007, which was sponsored by the UN and UNODC, that ranked the EFCC a bit ahead of its sister agencies. This is a graphical visualization of cybercrime investigation in Nigeria, looking at it from a historical perspective, using predefined parameters over a period of 26 years, from 1990 to date. These parameters were identified by relevant stakeholders such as investigators, policymakers, statisticians, and lawmakers. This map helps reveal the gaps and also understand how factors like technology and internet penetration affect cybercrime investigation. For this audience to appreciate this discussion, I would like to give us some very interesting and disturbing statistics. Nigerian population, according to UN estimate, is roughly between 160 to 180 million. And the UN predicts that by 2050, Nigeria will be the third most populated country after China and India. According to the NCC February 2017 subscriber data, roughly about 154 million devices are connected. And out of these 154 million, about 89 million are using their mobile devices to browse the internet. As of January 2017, the world population is about 7 billion, and about half of that are using the internet. However, Africa as a continent of about 1.2 billion has an internet base of just about over 360 million. Nigeria, next two slides. Yes. Nigeria, the most populous country in Africa, has an active internet base as of 2016 of 97 million, but that has dropped down to about 80-something to 90-something million. Next slide, please. The main reason I'm laying these facts and figures is not for us as individuals, it's for us as individuals and stakeholders to understand the enormity of the problem and the challenges we're going to face in the future, especially when it comes to policing the internet and solving cybercrime. For example, in 2001, about 2000, we had less than 2 million phones connected in Nigeria. In 16 years after that, in 2016, we have about 154 million connected mobile devices in Nigeria. Such an unprecedented growth that has both advantages and disadvantages. Next slide. The EFCC is mandated by law to investigate economic and financial crimes, and by extension has a dedicated forensic lab and a specialized cybercrime unit. With the signing into law of the bill, into law of the Cybercrime Act, the EFCC is one of the stakeholders amongst about 29 stakeholders that do investigate cybercrime in Nigeria. Next slide. Next. We actually stand on a technological revolution that has and will alter the way we think and the way we communicate with one another. The scope and the scale and the complexity will be unlike any other revolution we've ever witnessed. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the fourth industrial revolution termed Internet 4.0, whereby you have critical infrastructures connected to the Internet of Things. As stakeholders, and especially coming from a law enforcement community, one common denominator we get whenever we go to conferences and workshops is that as technology becomes smarter and accessible, so have the criminals. The cloud is borderless and poses a challenge for law enforcement. However, law enforcement has also used technology to disrupt organized crime such as child trafficking, online pornography, as well as cybercrime. Next slide. Nigerian cybercrime has evolved over the years from your traditional advanced fee fraud, IGMs, Agomariu, the Yahoo boys. They're more sophisticated, online scams, DDoS attack, and ransomware. Technology evolves, so do cyber criminals. Next slide. As you can see, in 1990, when we had the Criminal Code, Section 4, subsection 19 of the Criminal Code, that penalizes against OBT, that's obtaining under false pretense. Basically, we had NITEL lines, and you had to manually trace each line to house fax numbers. It was a tedious job, and you had to work with other stakeholders. But fast forward to 2016, there's digital forensics, there's open source intelligence, there's lawful interception. However, what has happened is that the criminals too are more sophisticated, are more advanced, are more organized. Next slide. Equally, the laws have progressed. As of 2000, before the coming of the EFCC, we just had the Special Fraud Unit under the Nigerian Police Force, and you come down to about 2003, if you remember, there were the cyber raids, EFCC would put like police, everybody was chasing young boys. And right now it's more organized, it's more professional. You have the NG-SAT domiciled in the Office of National Security Advisor. Abignel Jr. This epitomizes the Hollywood blockbuster movie of Frank Abagnale Jr. It's actually a true story. When it comes to cybercrime, and I'm speaking as an academic, not as a staff of the commission, when it comes to cybercrime, we're playing catch-up. The manner and the way we play the catch-up, it depends on how we embrace technology. It depends on how aware we are as individuals. And you also have the case of ISPs. Back in 2-3 years ago, ISPs don't keep data for more than 3 months. Because of the borderless nature of the cloud and the internet on cybercrime, most of the crimes committed against Nigerians or against foreigners come from a different territory. In terms of making laws, the best practices to practitioners as law enforcement and digital forensic experts, and the gap. There's always a gap to be filled by researchers. I hope the expected outcome of this research will be beneficial to all 3 of them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Muto.
Microsoft's team, I know you've had a full 3 days, and today is the last day. So really, pretty much, we're going to be walking you. Okay, my name is Eva Basi. Sorry for that, Eva Basi Sim. I'm the solution specialist at Microsoft in charge of mobility and security. And with me here is Ahmed Yusuf, he's Egyptian, and he's the technical solution specialist for it. So we're going to be doing a whole presentation. We're happy to take questions at the end of the presentation. We'll have 5 minutes for questions. So pretty much, we're going to be walking you through how Microsoft thinks of security today, the things you need to put in place in the environment that we are. I mean, over the weekend, we all know what happened at somewhere, you want to cry, name it. But again, they are like a basic approach, and they are pillars how Microsoft think of how an organization should think of cybersecurity. So yeah, quickly we'll be getting to it. Next slide, please. Next slide. From an identity perspective, from the devices in itself, from application, and from the infrastructure. So when I say identity, we all know security has gone beyond the traditional firewall where you need to have perimeter fencing. So today, irrespective of the organization you work for, so take a case study, I work for Microsoft. So if you have my email address, my username and my password, which is edacn@microsoft.com. So if you have access to that, you pretty much have access to everything I have access to in Microsoft. And that's the way, that's the thinking. That's how we should be thinking of security today. Now, the second pillar is, in addition to having to protect the identity to which one has towards an organization, so the devices in itself, the informations that are running on those devices, how do you protect it? So today, if your laptop gets missing and you work for maybe an EFCC or you work for, it depends on the parastatal you work for. What are the confidential information you have on it? How can you be sure that someone that stole the laptop is actually not stealing it with the intention to get what those informations are? And on the other side is what we call application management, information protection, and again, looking back at your infrastructure from your Windows servers, from your SQL server, from your base. So pretty much we're going to be looking at security in all those pillars, and we will delve into any of the pillars. So next slide, please. Okay, so the first pillar is Azure Active Directory, which speaks to the identity pillar. So do you want to go for it?
Hi everyone. The Active Directory that we have, it's you think about it as the infrastructure for identity management options in Microsoft. So this is actually where you manage all of your users' access to your data, to your applications, and all that stuff. So what we did here with the Azure Active Directory, we managed actually to tie all the different identities that you have within your organization under one identity. So now your users, they do not have to have several identities or several credentials to be able to actually access the same applications that they access on a daily basis. So what this will give you from a security perspective here is more of a one console to manage all the different identities within your organization. So you do not have to worry about, okay, now you might run the risk of jeopardizing one of the credentials through another person, for instance. No, actually with this one here, you have only one console that you can actually monitor the behavior of all of your users, their access, their logs, whether actually they're accessing this application and what they're doing with this application. And of course, on top of that, because we at Microsoft, we always think about the end user's experience as well. So we can actually build on, I don't know if you're familiar with the concept single sign-on. No? Okay. Okay, good. Okay. So what this will do, this will actually tie all the different identities together and create one single security token for that person to log into the different applications. And of course, this can go in a reverse way as well, meaning that you can block the user and revoke his access instantly without actually relying on, okay, now we shared this, specifically if we're talking about generic username and password, like admin and like a generic password. So instead of that person sharing this information with another person, no, you can actually track it based on his true identity. Next slide.
Before you get to the next slide, can you just take me one step back? So still speaking on the identity piece, I would actually like to give examples so that, I think it helps resonate a lot more. So how many of us does internet banking today? Right, great. So a great number of people does that. So if you notice, at the point where you're about to transfer money from your account to, okay, let's say to Edward Passes, right? At that instance, your knowing the username and password doesn't grant you, you're not able to make that transfer just with your username and password. So think of it, your son gets angry and knows mommy's username and password and says, you know what, I'm going to give this money whether she likes it or not. But the idea is that there is a second layer of authentication there, which is like your token. So if you don't have your token, you can't do that transfer. So now just think back and use that from a corporate environment. So it's more like having another layer of security, one where this can work from an identity perspective. It's like having a second layer of security. It's like if you're not within the corporate environment, if you're traveling and you need to have access to corporate resource, how am I sure that it's actually you that's trying to access that? How can I place layers of security to be rest assured that the person that is having access to it is actually the person that was licensed to? Now, that's one way. On the other side, what pretty much happens today is you kind of realize that most of the IT administrators, they have the admin user privileges. So again, how do you really trust the IT administrator? And come to think of it, today's cyber attack is actually mostly done by the in-house people that knows some usernames and passwords. So what we've also built into this technology is what we call privileged identity. So if you're supposed to resolve a case for someone and it's supposed to last for 2 hours, so as an admin, you have the username and pass, you have the admin rights to do that for just 2 hours. Now, there is an approval process to get, so you don't, because you're an admin, you have an indefinite username and password that you log into the system, and it's more like the company is trusting you. Right. So that's more like we have different scenarios. This can work, but these are just 2 scenarios I thought I should just mention. Next slide. Okay. So pretty much the next step is what we call the Microsoft Windows Intune. What that typically does is it's your device management in itself. So today you have confidential information riding on your devices. In case that the device gets missing, in case that there's a device theft, the company can remotely wipe all this information. So it's more like preserving the integrity of the corporate information on it. And the two ways it works, there's the device management piece to it, there's the application management piece to it. The application management piece to it in itself, it's more, from a device management, how many of us have heard of like a bring your own device policy? Right. Okay, so pretty much, what is the BYOD strategy? A bring your own device policy is more like you bring in your own devices, and the devices you're comfortable working with, and then you access the corporate network, you access the corporate information. However, from the corporate standpoint, you want to maintain absolute security to those devices that are being brought in. So you can set policies, you can set preset policies for a device to be enrolled into your environment. Probably the device needs to comply to some of your policies. It could be that the device needs to have a minimum of an 8-digit PIN, be it a phone. So let's take a case study as a phone. Before, you can set up a policy that, look, before you have the corporate email, before you have the Microsoft email on your phone, for instance, if you want to use that, you need to make sure that that phone has a minimum of a 6-digit PIN or an 8-digit PIN.
Preventing users from sending sensitive emails or sensitive documents outside your organization. So once this email has been categorized as sensitive, this email will not be sent outside the organization, even though the user is actually either mistakenly or deliberately. What we did on top of that, we managed actually to add classification and data categorization as well. What does that mean? So now not only that you can actually put the protection on the document itself, meaning that now I need to provide my identity under the identity. I need to provide my identity to be able actually to access the document. Not only that, you can go and proactively classify all of your data and label them as confidential or sensitive. So now, even though the end user is disconnected from the internet, and he has a lot of different very sensitive data that he wants to share, he will not be able to share those data with anyone. He will not be able to copy the data to a thumb drive, to a flash drive. So this is how protection on the document we're talking about.
So I just wanted to chip in there and bring it a bit back home. So what you typically notice is that when you enter ministries or different parastatals, so you typically see maybe the secretary has this file that is written in red, diagonal, confidential, or secrets. And what does that mean? Any paper or any document that is inside there is maybe highly secret. It's only for the director, or it's only for the top management. Anybody can just walk in to access it. What does that mean typically? Look, if this secretary is my friend and I go to the secretary and I'm like, you know what, I need that particular file. It's as good as having that level on that file written secret. Wouldn't stop anyone from opening to remove the project. So now flip it back to an electronic channel from digitizing it. What that means is that you know what is secret, what is confidential to your organization, right? There are some keywords, there are some key parameters that makes an information confidential. So if you have labeled a document as whatever document that is going through that has the below parameters should be flagged as confidential. What does that mean? It means that people within this level cannot say it. It means that this document cannot be sent to a Yahoo Mail, cannot be sent to a Gmail, cannot be sent to outside the corporate environment. So that's how we can actually really protect the content. So pretty much in a nutshell, that's what that does from protecting an information perspective. So what that typically means is you would have copied that document on a flash drive, on a thumb drive, go anywhere, you can't access it as long as you're not among the category of people that would have accessed that information. Pretty much that's what we're talking about here. There will be time for questions, just 5 minutes at the end. Next slide, please. Thank you. You want to go for it?
This is yet another technology that we're currently actually launching in worldwide. What this will do, this will give you insight into who's accessing what application within your organization based on their identity. So you deploy this in your on-prem, and you have a real-time access to who's doing what exactly. Okay, this is very regular or very basic. But what we added to this is machine learning as well, meaning that if something actually is defying logic or defying the rules of physics, meaning that someone is accessing a document from Lagos or from Abuja, and after 1 hour, he accessed the same document from the US. So what the system will do will revoke his access instantly, without actually referring back or returning back to the admin. This is what we're adding right now. It's more of a machine learning way to study the behavior of your users within your organizations. This is actually the idea behind it.
So to add to what Yusuf just said, so think of an advantage. Today, everyone is saying, "Oh, we don't want to put our company's information over the cloud. Where is the cloud? You know, cloud is with me." People say, I get people asking me, "When it rains, where's my information?" But it's going to go away. Cloud is actually a risk. But again, what does cloud have security do? So typically, within an organization, people are using a lot of cloud applications that they don't even know is a cloud application. How many people know that Facebook is a cloud application? Right? How many people know the Instagram, the Twitter, all of that is a cloud application? Alright. How many people know Dropbox, OneDrive, and all of that? They are cloud applications. Right. So typically, what does cloud application do? Cloud application from an IT security, so think of you more like an IT security admin staff, it helps you have an overview of the different cloud applications they're using in the environment. Now, it's not what people are using for their personal life, because I can have a Facebook account like this, so me and my family. But it's what are the sensitive companies' information they're sharing over that application that I don't even want it to be out there in the public. So what you can also do from an IT administrative backend, you have that view, and you can actually block people from having access to a particular application, sanction people, or probably say, okay, you know what, this application, it's okay to consume information from it.
We have another thing that we call advanced threat protection. It's not included here, but it's one of the latest slides. Yes, it's under the umbrella of Office 365, and this is actually our sandboxing technology. This was created specifically to block something like WannaCry or WannaCry. Because it's what sandboxing is. How many of you guys know what is sandboxing? Okay. So it's more of an isolated environment where we can actually check all the attachments based on a zero-day attack. So this is actually the first the first attack, or first wave of attack here. So what we will do, we will check this file or this attachment against everything that might consider it as or might reveal it as malicious. So this attachment is asking you to download a file, then actually we'll block it and we're not going to send it to you. If this attachment is redirecting you to a different page where you have to download a file or will have to access some of your registry files on your laptop or computer, we'll block it from doing that. Even though this particular software is not categorized as malware yet, or as a virus yet. So this is what we're, and after 2 weeks or something, because the email resides in your inbox, I'll change the redirection of that link. So whenever you click on it the next time, it will not take you to Microsoft.com. It will take you to another page where you have to download a file or something like that. What we will do, we will actually block, of course we will scan the link, and we will block this kind of behavior from reaching to the end user. This is our sandboxing technology, or our isolated environment checks against links and attachments as well. To wrap it up, all of the things that we talked about actually included in our cloud offerings, Office 365 and EMS as well. EMS is actually short for Enterprise Mobility Suite. So this is our story of protecting your resources, documents, and emails, and of course managing the devices and managing the identities and all that stuff in your organization. Okay,
so pretty much to wrap up, it's more like we've talked about, security from different pillars, from an identity, device, application, to the infrastructure itself, being a bit more proactive. So again, Microsoft has a lot. Microsoft built solution is inbuilt with security. So from how many people today are using Windows 10? Okay, please, if you're not using Windows 10, get on Windows 10. It is the most secure operating system. I mean, if you all heard of the I Wanna Cry, you noticed that systems on Windows 10 were not affected. I mean, that alone should actually be a reason why you should be on Windows 10. Right? So there's a lot more that we can talk about from a security perspective, but our host gave us 30 minutes, and we needed to squeeze everything within 30 minutes. We are around for like 5 minutes for questions, and please, you could always drop an email, or if you have questions, if you can't any of the Microsoft technology from a security standpoint. Any questions in the house? Just one or two. Okay, I'll just take one at the back.
Now, we have this policy, bring your system, bring your own system device. I mean, bring your own device policy, whatever. And then the organization now buys into this policy of protecting the apps that are this employee system. For instance, I have Office Word, which I use outside of the office. Also, maybe my friend or family member has access to that device, particularly that application as well. So how are we going to, harmonize this? How are we going to handle this? I have access to the app, the organization also. It's also important for the running of the activities. So how do we go about this?
All right. On the application in itself, it's probably zero. It's only the document you have saved from the company on Microsoft Word, which takes us back to the slide where we talked about information protection, which you can actually protect those particular ones. Well, the application in itself is open to your family use. So think of it this way. If you're just launching a Microsoft application, a Microsoft Word, it has nothing confidential to you, right? Because again, then you start typing. You start doing this. By the time you start typing and putting in confidential defense information, now this is no more your family. This is defense information. So that information in that particular Word document, that particular Word file has to be protected. But it doesn't stop your family or your daughter or your sister from launching a new Word and typing a letter to their friends. Did I?
Right. So this is actually particularly the how we what is our approach to this kind of scenario.
People or not, and if not, then what differentiates this in
So everything we have mentioned. Sorry.
It could be on premise as well.
Well, yes, you can work with your approach. Yeah. So CASB learning and knowing what application people are using in their environment. That's what is classified as CASB from all the list I mentioned.
And everything that we talked about can be extended to on-prem as well. So it's not only cloud services.
Why people don't update is because most times these updates are so large and take so long, sometimes you have to reboot your system. So my question is, do you think of separating feature updates from security updates? And can you make such things transparent to the users?
Actually, we flipped the entire update model. So now we have security updates a long time. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Can I ask
sure.
Okay. The second question is about how to support. We want to applaud you for giving updates due to this one FYI. So it's a positive thing. But there was something Samsung did to their phones when it was always on fire. They sent a firmware update to make sure that it doesn't work anymore because people didn't want to ditch it. Can't you do something similar so that people that are using out-of-date systems, which is a threat to everybody on the internet, you send something that makes it expire after some time, you can't use it to log on to the internet?
Alright, so I think I'll answer that in 2 ways. 2003, which came to an end of support. There are organizations that were running Windows Server 2003. What does it mean for everybody? Imagine an organization that has 300 servers running on Windows Server 2003. Do you think they can wake up one day and just migrate off? They have line of business applications that are probably compatible by that. So they actually need, so it's more like a change thing, and they need a change process, and it needs a bit of time. So hence, it can't be like a hard stop. Now, I wouldn't talk about the Samsung part because I don't work for Samsung, but I would say Microsoft is an enterprise organization. So when we're taking decisions, we're taking also considering an enterprise, considering the enterprise at large. They might have applications that are compatible with Windows Server 2003. Hence, if you did a bit of some reading about the security patches that were sent out, Microsoft also sent out to people that had custom support. So there are organizations that pay for custom support. It means, oh, this product is out of support, but we want to just keep paying you till we are able to migrate off it. So those patches too was also sent to this kind of thing.
Two teams for that. One team will be the offensive team, which is the red team, for that exercise. Then we have another team, which will be the blue team for that exercise. So what they're going to do is, the red team will go and strategize on how they're going to hack the elections of XYZ country, while the blue team will strategize on how to defend. Then you will have some time to come and present to everybody what you have decided, how you have decided, or how you carried out that task. The second activity will be attacking the critical infrastructure, cyber terrorism, and militancy coordinator. So it's the same thing too. We have a blue team and a red team. So how are we going to divide this? It's like there are more people on that side. Influencing XYZ country elections. So we start from here. So a red, blue, continuously like that. So the cyber terrorism and militancy. So we're going to do the same thing. Red, blue, and then we can break out, and we have 15 minutes to do the activity and 15 minutes to present. So we have a total of 30 minutes. So can we get that going?
Go to that corner, the blues remain. Red, blue, red, blue, red, blue, red, blue, red, blue, red, blue, blue, red, blue, red, blue, red, blue, red, blue, red, blue, red, blue, red. Then that lady, blue. Red, blue, red, blue, red. Forget the blue shirts already. This section. All the reds on this section. Okay, sorry, blue. Okay, then the reds here. That's Man U, Chelsea, Arsenal, Everton.
Do you get it? From my own experience, I want to believe that for a successful attack to be carried out, of course there must be an insider. Yes, because they say there's no smoke without fire. For you to be able to carry out something, somebody has to be inside to give you an information. So how can we achieve that? There's a way of compromising somebody from inside. So meaning that the blue has to just has to cooperate with us. Social engineering, machine, denial of service. What do you mean? Some very important things. Maybe they go to something like a password. The login exactly. From here you can use it to act there. XYZ is already has already given us the
should also implement that FSL so that we should also implement an SSL so that data is not transferred through clear text. So it's encrypted in case of middle in the man attack. So we should make sure that the login sections, voting sections are encrypted.
Is that calculation many points of this?
Number two, look at the back.
But you forget Nigeria is a basically all these things because of the nature of what you are. Most people don't rely on income. Most of the things that move in Nigeria are not. So you need to look at the nature of the country.
Yeah, I understand. But if you take the power down, just like what happens every day, I put on my general. Basically, an average Nigerian lives with probably less than 3 hours public power every day. You understand? So, but I'm saying, yes, if you take down the turbine, yes, maybe it has slight effect, but look at what happens when we have fuel scarcity. It doesn't really kick it into full gear until probably after 4 days or after 3 days. Now, but in as much as you say people do not use air transportation, I think we need to use the airport to understand the fact that if you look at when Narek had a problem, you understand, and that was what you just brought about.
What about our data center where our information,
Simple scenario. End of the month, those that live outside and those that are outside, it is always run of ATM. What you understand? So if you can be able to get access or bring down the value of what is carrying most of the stuff, I believe the clearing houses in the switch, the central switching system, if you can find a way of. No, you don't need to access anybody, it's just denial of access. Denial of service. Into switch, there's the second one. And quick teller is switch. NBSS. NIPS. No, and the joint house yes. And fortunately for us, because of things that have happened, increase in most of these guys are warehousing their data locally. Who is that guy that's so if you can, the non-data that they have here is offshore. And also,
so this is a kind of motivation to be able to get a friend into the White House. You know, so like our two countries, blue and red, is to be able to get
influence of power.
Influence of power.
That's the
motivation.
Motivation now is that we are trying to be mediators or something.
No, influence of power.
No.
You want to get hold of the power. Make it clear for you. This case, this example
will be favorable.
Like now, you know the Democrats. Their own way of doing things are different from the Republicans. Now the Republicans are more having a like mind with the Russians. War. So we are able to get a president that has the same thinking which is we are going to
because the infrastructure was based on the number of expected hectares. But without a DDoS, let's go on to look at that. Because even without a DDoS attack, an infrastructure that is self-constrained traffic, you still have that downtime.
Let it be connection at the same
And Nigerians in diaspora will also vote. So there's no way you want to stop access from outside Nigeria.
Because this Microsoft style. You'll be on the background like China.
You come out and do it. Where are we now? All those
as long as we get, if it's live option attack,
1 minute more.
Yeah, just one. I'll just give you a quick so that we present everything and just put this
adequate. When you prepare for it, when it happens, you have something to see.
Okay, thank you very much. We are the Team Red for, yes, our motive here is we are to attack, actually. And for us to do this, we have a motive. The motive for doing this, for having to these other people's cyber whatever to have their don't mind me XYZ. Sorry, I'm not with this team. Okay. The vote, then influencing the XYZ country presidential election by external nation. So we believe to do this we have a motivation. And our motivation here is to influence power. And now we go to the two. The vulnerability. For us to do this, there must exist vulnerability, on the other side for us to actualize our aim. So now, the vulnerabilities here we assume is that there are porous borders. This has to do with physical security. And then the cyberspace also. And then we have a human factor. That is maybe using social engineering and to influence an insider, maybe in giving out some relevant information in that their organization. And then we have tools we are going to use to carry out our plan. The tools here include the softwares we want to use to penetrate. The Metasploit is a software that is used to bypass firewall and antivirus. We also have another one, the Mmap. We use it to find out open ports and live system. And of course, human experts. So my colleague here will expand more on the maybe network architecture that will enable us to
live ports and also to bypass firewalls and antivirus. We have the Metasploit that will help us to send in our code, some kind of code that will return to us Metapista section. What we are actually after is to get a database where these things are stored, the vote and everything are stored, so we can get it compromised. And then we find out the open port. One of the things we do is to find out to get the kind of server they are running on. If it is Apache, if it is maybe Microsoft or anything, then when we get it, we can now launch attack. We find out the IP address. If it is something that is attached to the website, they have a website, then we can actually, get through to that, and then we can launch the attack. It's not a hacking class. I don't want to.
Give an overview of the technical competence that Team Red has over Team Blue. So basically, we're going to do our homework, and by homework I mean we're going to attack critical infrastructures that are very strong. We're not going to go after the Electoral Commission, for example. We're going to go to users, to parties, people that have weak passwords, and exploit that. Once we exploit that, we put in our Trojan or our executable file, and we'll be able to extract enough user identifiers to actually log into legitimate accounts. And once we do that, we'll be able to control the world, right?
Thank you, Team Red.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We'll head from the North Koreans and the Russians. They are doing a collab against us. Overtake them. So we already know we have three difficult countries to deal with. We'll have the Koreans, we'll have the Russians, and then we'll have the Chinese people. No offense, please. Now, the first thing we want to do is we want to develop our system ourselves, because we already know what they are capable of doing. So we're not using external developers to develop our system. So we're using some secure coding principles. Then the next thing we want to do is, after developing our application, we do our own in-house vulnerability assessment and pen testing. So we'll have our own red and blue teams already in place. And then after that testing, then we deploy our solution. Once our solution is deployed, testing continues. Then the next thing we want to put in place is identity management. So we're talking about borders and the porousness of our borders. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to ensure that everybody is able to vote. Now, there are two classes of people. There are people in rural areas who may not have all the technological equipment to vote. So what we do is they should be able to access voting centers. And how do we confirm who they are? Through biometrics. We also take note of Nigerians in diaspora who may not have access to voting centers and they want to vote remotely. So we confirm them with an OTP, one-time password, using the phone numbers they used with their voter's card when they got registered. So when they have access to our web link, they should be able to enter their voter's card registration number. Then an OTP will be sent to their phone. So if they flush their phone, then no access for them. So with that OTP, they'll be able to access. And the OTP lasts only for 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, that OTP has expired. Then the next thing we do is we ensure there is encryption while they are logging in, and then there's encryption while their voting section is going on. So even if there's a man in the middle of attack, you only get gibberish, you won't get clear text. Then the next thing we want to do is we want to have an intrusion detection system that prevents DDoS attacks. And then our admin connection should be only via VPN. So we don't allow them to have direct access to the IP, so that in case they get access to the IP, then they can't get anything out of it. Then the next thing we also want to do is we want to ensure that database content is sorted, hashed, and encrypted. My colleague here will take off from there.
As rightly put by my colleague here, we put our design application, ensure that it's encrypted, and all necessary coding has been done within the context of like the organizers of the election. So I will be talking about the database as handle the identity management and how the application will run. Our server will have immediate backup. As voting is going on, we have the backup that's already running concurrently. The server, the database will be encrypted, hashed, and sorted. So if we are able to break our algorithm on the encryption, for instance, which we are sure that the US and wherever have access to our database, if, for instance, they have access, they are able to decrypt our message. It's hashed and sorted, which is very difficult for them to handle in the space of time which they will have to do sorting. So it's hashed, sorted, and we have a live backup that is running in case the DOS attacks we can't get them from this guy, so let's just bring the system down so that the election stop. Immediately it's going now, we deploy our solution, which is the backup, and within a few seconds we are back up again. So that's basically what we do to defend our.
Sorry, just to add something, we will not be letting our voting link on the website known until the day of the election, so that they don't go ahead to test penetration.
Thank you, Team Blue. Red, are you shaking?
Good morning. Good afternoon. We're the red team for attacking the critical infrastructure, cyber terrorism, and militancy coordinator. So we looked at, okay, since we're talking about Nigeria, we had to do a reconnaissance to know what are the critical infrastructures regarding this country. Oil and gas, airports, that's for transport, data center, we're talking about the data centers coming into the country, power systems, power infrastructure, and the financial sector. So all these ones, we looked at it and see, okay, which one will have more impact on the country if you are able to attack such infrastructure or taking over of the infrastructure. And you have to look at, okay, since it has to do with cyber terrorism, what is the motive? The motive can be either financial, that's money, you take over the system and you demand for ransom, okay, we will not allow, we've taken over the system, you have to pay a so amount. That's a larger version of WannaCry. You have to pay a so amount in bitcoins to leave the system, or for information. For example, now taking over something like NIMC or the BVN or what have you. That's, for example, now the financial sector. If you are able to have access to the BVN database in Nigeria, it's priceless. You can demand what you want. So all these things are sectors with their certain vulnerabilities. So now if we choose a certain sector, what do we need to do? We look at the top management, we attack them, we choose a different style of attack, and then the middle management. Because the top management, most of them regarding IT, I don't want to say they're IT illiterates, but it's so. Because unfortunately, I know of my boss that up to that, yeah, you have a boss that will give his junior his passwords, he'll have access, you understand? So all those things. And regarding, okay, one other problem we have regarding top management in Nigeria, we don't know the value of data. yes, you have a data center, you spend money, but you don't know the value of all those things. So for the top management, we're going to use a direct phishing attack, send emails, click a link, it downloads something on the computer, blah, blah, blah. Later on, maybe there's escalation. It does the software installed after doing reconnaissance after a certain period of time, finding out how is the network, who are the users, what are the vulnerabilities on those systems. So before you know it, you know everything about the infrastructure, the enterprise that is resident on. And before you know it, one day, because as it said, the attacker is resident on your system for a very long time before you even, the day he attacks, that day, it is just like D-Day. It's after the damage has already been done. He already knows you more than you know yourself. So for the lower level management, we do use spear phishing and whatever. Using SMSs and whatever. This is like my techie guy. So okay.
Sorry. Just to summarize everything because we don't have time. He has mentioned that we've done reconnaissance, we've categorized people that institutions that we want to attack, the people within the institutions. We have the top management, which if it's military, you go into the generals that you can attack, and then the mid-level, which are most susceptible. Our motive, basically, under this context, is not money, so we're not using ransomware attack. We're going basically for the information, and then later on we can use it to take over the system. So basically, we just outlined and agreed that we're going to use spear phishing attack for the top management, because it's very specific, and then general's mission and phishing attack for the mid and low level staff. Then, after I define that, how do we go about it? Firstly, in just a summary, we just create our own exploit that can give us a background. We save it maybe as a PDF like it was presented yesterday, and then we keep it aside. We then now go and do our research on the particular infrastructure or agency that we want to attack. If it's CISA we want to attack, we need to go and see the history of Remy and everybody there, and then we craft a very convincing email that will convince one of the staff to click on that so that it can execute, and we can have backdoor access that we can later on execute our payloads onto. So after that, luckily if we have from one of our phishing emails, somebody clicks on it and then eventually we get access, we can later on do privilege escalation, and then what have you, we can now take over the system eventually. So, voilà, that's it.
So we're just there in our control center, strategizing on how we can deal with these guys. What we started off with is to identify the critical infrastructure, because I believe we looked at it from the point of view that government has given us the power to actually defend our infrastructure. So that's how I looked at it. So we identified the critical infrastructures as the telecom infrastructures, transportation, including aviation, rail system. We also looked at oil and gas pipelines, the oil and gas ICT infrastructures. Then we looked at ICT infrastructure as well as critical infrastructures, financial institutions, healthcare, even education. We covered all this, and some of the attacks that we envisaged that could occur in these infrastructures. For telecoms, there could be interception of communication. We talked about SS7 yesterday. So for data center, we looked at protecting against brute force attacks, DDoS attacks, even physical attacks. For transportation, we also looked at botnets, brute force attacks, pipelines. We looked at providing physical security for our pipelines, surveillance, ICS. Okay. IDS and IPS protection. Then we also looked at the military. We need to protect our military, to strategize and look at how we can protect them. So some of the attacks are physical attacks on our military, providing more, more equipment for them to defend themselves, and IT infrastructure provision for the IT facilities. So my partner in good here will finish.
right, thank you very much. What we also considered was a threefold strategy, taking care of the physical, administrative, as well as technical approaches to mitigating some of the attacks we may receive. Under physical, we considered aerial surveillance, making use of drones to cover some of the key infrastructure, particularly in power and oil and gas. We also considered an emergency response team. Say, for instance, something is detected, there should be a rapid response team that can quickly deploy from wherever they are to quickly get to the site and deal with the problem. We considered perimeter fencing and as well as biometrics. As we moved on to administrative, we considered the case where they could plant in a mole. So we considered that we should have a background check on every single staff that will bring in to handle some of this critical infrastructure. We also considered the case of IT illiteracy. So we said for control systems, if you're going to have passwords, you must have what we call a 3-month expiration of those passwords, such that after 3 months, you must come and re-register and gain access to that infrastructure. We also considered the case of public information management. If you have the case of an attack, it's very important that you have good collaboration with the media, such that information is disseminated in the right way to prevent panic. We also considered business continuity as well as disaster recovery. Then most importantly, hiring our own ethical hackers as well as cyber warriors so that we can, set up a countermeasure against them. Then as well as general awareness. Then technically, the generals, 2-factor authentication, IPS, IDS, we should have a SIM solution, that is security information and events management. We need to track every single thing that is going on within the network. Then infrastructure to prevent phishing, whaling, as well as the control systems. Then we must have what is called patch management to ensure that we are up to date to prevent in case they come up with their own version of WannaCry. And then lastly, we considered a data loss prevention. Data loss prevention systems ensures that if, say for instance, they want to send out an email, which is, say for instance, even if a mole gets in, if you want to send out an email, which is corporate and wants to go out to probably a private email address, it will stop that. Thank you very much.
Please can we give it a round of applause? This team red, you guys are smart. Every other team, Sadfrank, you are looking at Expo. You want to take us out again, eh? All right, please, very quickly, Mr. Omar, you just run it for us in 1 minute.
What I was particularly impressed with was the teamwork. And actually what we wanted to get out of this session is to see the thought process. How do you think as attackers and how do you think as defenders? And I'm very happy to see that you guys nailed the whole thing. So what I have to say is the thought process for defense. First, you need to prepare, because you know definitely somebody is going to attack you. You have to prepare. Once you prepare, you do things like your risk assessment, know where your critical data and systems are. Based on your risk assessment, you protect your environment by deploying controls. After that, what do? You try as much as possible to detect when somebody is trying to attack you. Once you detect, what do? You respond. So you need to have a good incident response. Once you respond, what do later? You recover. And once you recover, the final thing, which most people ignore, is you reflect. You think of, okay, all these things that happened, why did it happen? And how do I prevent it from happening the next time? So I think that should be the thought process for all defenders. Defense is actually much more difficult than attacking. Because as an attacker, you just need to find one vulnerability and you're done. As a defender, you just need to miss one
vulnerability, and that is it. So thank you very much. I think this brings us to the end of this session.
Very quickly, Team Chelsea. Ajoko.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Rukaya Tadej. I'm just representing the Registrar of CPN, Computer Professionals Registration Council of Nigeria. Mr. Remy Afon, the President, Cybersecurity Experts Association of Nigeria, dignitaries here present, invited guests and speakers, ladies and gentlemen. I'm honored by the invitation from Cybersecurity Experts Association of Nigeria to be part of this landmarking event. The theme, Building Resilient Cyber Defense. I'm elated as a stakeholder at the prospect that this conference portends to examine critical issues relating to cyber defense, especially in the face of the latest threats by the ransomware challenge. CPN commends CISION for its consistency over the past couple of years, especially for providing a platform like this that engages industry, government, lawmakers, the academia, civil society organizations, and indeed all stakeholders in a strategic national debate on technology-based issues, especially the cyber confidence. CPN is proud to be associated with CISION. I therefore seize this opportunity to assure CISION and indeed this gathering that CPN will at all times be willing to collaborate and identify with CISION in realizing its set objectives of working at safeguarding the cyberspace through the provision of a platform for constructive dialogue and opportunities to network and influence healthy policies. Once again, I congratulate Mr. Remy Afon and his team for consistently championing the cause of a safer and secure cyberspace in Nigeria. We at CPN look forward to the report and outcome of this year's conference and deliberations of these past meetings, because we are confident that it will no doubt enrich the position of our dear country to harness great potentials towards building a resilient cyber defense for sustainable national development. Thank you for your attention. God bless you.
Thank you very much. Like I said, today is the last day of our conference, and tonight, away from all the seriousness we've been having since 3 days now, I hope we're all prepared for tonight, actually. Red carpet starts at 5 p.m. Please dress classy and dress royal. In your own way of dressing royal, please just look sharp and come forward to celebrate. And don't forget, I'm already seeing... Where's my phone? Dr. Ismaila Idris, he is going to conduct the induction of new members and award of membership certificates. Please can we put our hands together for Dr. Idris Ismaila as he's coming.
Yeah, good afternoon everyone. Today we'll be having the 6th induction lecture for the new members of the Cybersecurity Expert Association of Nigeria. It's the 6th induction because, of course, we had some other inductions here in Abuja. We had 2 inductions already here in Abuja. We had one in Lagos. We had another one in Ilorin. So these the inductions basically are meant to build members, build up members in every region of the country. So and I will appeal to us as members, if we have substantial numbers of membership in your area or in your states, it's a good avenue for us to come and induct this member and to open the branch chapters in that state. As we all know, CCN is a non-profit organization with a mission to champion cybersecurity awareness and readiness. That is the mission of Cybersecurity Expert Association. Our first conference was in 2015. That was the Cybersecurity Nigeria in 2015. which was held in 29th January. And the second conference was in 2016 and in April last year. You can see the Cybersecurity Expert Association of Nigeria is a consistent one. At least for the conference, we'll make sure, we'll make it an annual event so that we can converge and meet with, all the members of the association. Also, we have what we call the STC, which is this Top Think Connect projects, which are CCN partner with other countries. It's a global initiative. You see in the US, UK, and other European countries, they actually key into this Top Think Connect project. The essence for this project is, despite we having this conference, we want to get the members together so that they can, in their location, they can be able to reach out to people around in the way of creating awareness in cyber security. As you can see, based on what is happening today, I think awareness is the key, irrespective of you are a professional or not. Everybody needs to be aware. We are all online, so there is that need for us to create that awareness, and it's our duty to make sure people understand the ethics, why, and ways in which they can log on to the system, what to watch out for, and also to kind of stop, think before they connect to the internet, because there are so many things involved. There are dangers in the net that that is in the internet anyway. And also we have this mandatory continuous professional education for members, and also the annual membership attendance. What we have here is, we as members, it is important for the continuous professional education. It's called mandatory continuous membership. That is if you want to remain a member of CCN. And also the conference too is an avenue that covers this all. We have points for the continuous education. It might not necessarily mean certifications being organized by CCN, but other certifications will have to count the points for you to stay as membership. And also for the conference, if as a member you attend the yearly conference, the Cyber Secure Nigeria conference every year, automatically you renew your membership. But for those that cannot make it, it means you have to pay an annual due to stay as a member member of the association. We have the code of ethics, the membership branch policies. We have also some other benefits that the association, members of the association, will benefit as a member. The professional networking, CCN, discounts in terms of conferences and training and a whole lot of things that members are going to benefit. At this junction, I would want to refer us to our constitution. Of course, we have every other information that is required there in terms of the branch policies and some other things that encompass the branch policies, the formulation of the branch, the ESCOs, and what have you. All these we can get it there in the constitution of CCN. At this junction, I would want to congratulate the newly inducted members. I would want to say congratulations once more for coming to the right profession, because cybersecurity is the in thing, and we hope to have a cordial, working and a professional, relationship together. I would want to call on the inducted members to come out and take their oath, please. Yeah, the inductees.
the induction, you go back to your seat and you call the one after the other for your certificate, while we take a snapshot with you of this. And willingly discharge the duties and responsibilities as a member.
Please bend.
Fully conscious of the important obligations I voluntarily consent to. I voluntarily consent to. I further pledge to uphold and defend the Constitution and rules of the Association. Ever putting into practice service above self, giving emphasis to the vision of the Association. All these, I pledge and promise to do and observe to the best of my ability, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. So help me God. Congratulations to you all. You're all welcome to Cyber Security Expert Association of Nigeria. I wish you all the best.
Come back, take it back to the first one. This is myself. Wait, go back again. Hold on. Now that is the selfie of life. Seriously. The only reason I can't take that selfie is because it has no background. Okay, this is good. This is good. Just one viral. That's not a selfie. This is not a selfie. This is advert. Now that no president, we no grill. No. This is advert, not selfie. This is advert again, not selfie. This should go. I'm telling you. This should be the best selfie. Wait, hold on. Okay, just hold it. Take it back to the first one. Okay, between this and the second one, which should bring this? Oh, there are more?
Yeah. The second one. No background.
Okay, can we give it to this dude? Yeah. All in support, say aye. Where is the guy?
Absent.
Oh, yeah, come. I'll collect presidential handshake. Don't worry, we'll come forward. Alright. Take pictures with him. Take pictures, please. Take pictures. It's not easy. Okay, have something for him. Alright, please. After the handshake, you can go meet them and take a gift. Please, once again, can you give him a round of applause, please? Alright, Mr. President, please just stand here to issue out the certificate. Please, as I call your name, you come forward. Chinatu. Congratulations, Ogunji Joseph Jide. Mr. Jide. Okay. Daniel Ajimusa. Ogale Ojakunu. I hope I got that name correctly. Ogale Ojakunu. Happiness Kerry. Always happy. That's organic, and this is happiness. Dr. Igwe Joseph. Dr. Ituma Chinagolo. Dr. Ituma Chinagolo.
Excuse them.
Adetoye. Agumbiade, I hope I got that name correctly. Adetoye, Agumbiade. Kelvin Steven Z. Akoma, Mayoga. Babatunde Solake. Uyi Jonathan. Omon Noah. Uyi Jonathan. the solution men. Esther John, yeah.
Yes, yes.
Kachala Y. Kapo. Kachala. Kelvin Steven. I think I called Kelvin Steven Akoma before. I did. Mr. Olurotimi Ajo. Okay, that's for Paul. That's Paul. James Ajayi Obe. James Ajayi. James Ajayi. David Baden. David Baden. Is that David coming? Okay. Joseph Agatise. In the foreign way, Agatise. Is correct? Okay. Joseph is not here. Taufik Lasisi. What is Lagosians? Come on, Lasisi. Stephen Oluwayomi Adedayo. Stephen Oluwayomi Adedayo. Rukayat Adeyemi, ever smiling, ever beautiful. Now she on a clappers for. I no clap for his name. Donald. Is it the Moiko? Donald? Do we have a Donald here? Ronke. Ibikunle. Sisi Ronke, okay. Abdul Rashid. Abba Ali. Abdul Rashid. Abba Ali. Okay. That's Abdul Rashid coming. Olaleko Awujola. Olaleko. Ifeoluwa Oloyede. Ifeoluwa, not here. Babatunde Onadibe. Babatunde Onadibe. Okay, Babatunde is coming. Ame Abba Peter. Ame Abba Peter. Okay, that's Ame coming. Amadi Collins Eni. Amadi Collins Eni. Okay. Adamu Bukar Ngalda. Adamu Bukar. Is Adamu here? Okay. Miss Oladoyin.
Look at the camera. This way.
Babo Juwo. I'm getting this song. Miss Oladoyin, okay. Clement Dakat. Put your hands together for this man. He has been very, very supportive to me. Thank you, sir. Abdullahi Aminu. Abdullahi Aminu. Isaac Imbeng. Sheyi Ajiboye. Sheyi Ajiboye. Mr. Olushere Banjo. Okay, that's Sylvester Olatunji. Sylvester Olatunji. Mr. Solomon? Is he here? Okay. Akimbola Odetonyibo. Afolabi Alada Ojon. Abdul Malik Ibrahim. Okay, the solution men. John Nkanu Ebo. Maruf Adebowale. Give me Maruf Adebowale. There's another Maruf Adebowale. Ibrahim Bisila. Hashim Ibrahim Bisila. Omar Saad. Please put your hands together for this industrious man. Mr. Omar Saad. Kamasco. Alheri. It will be ready within the shortest period and it will get across to you, so please bear with us. Once again, can we all put our hands together for ourselves for this wonderful 3 days conference?
No, let's.
About yourself.
All right, good evening, sir. Can we please meet you? Can we know your names?
My name is Mohamed Banjega. I'm CEO of Edgetech Africa. It's a tech solution company. I'm also one of the founding directors of a payment gateway company called VoPay.
Okay.
It's a fintech company in Africa. And I'm the founder of a tech movement called Startup Arewa. Startup Arewa is poised at identifying talents and also encouraging and promoting technology in Nigeria. I believe there's so much potentials which is untapped in the northern space and also in Nigeria itself. We so much believe that technology has no religion or region, but we as tech experts, we believe that we need to go back, take it to the grassroots. There is this advocacy so that we can use it as an avenue to fill the gap. There's so much gap in it, IT skills gap, which is untapped. A lot of young people who are tech lovers, developers are just roaming on the streets. Nobody's talking to them, the government is not tasking them. So we took it upon ourselves to see how we can take this advocacy down to the street to be able to now identify these talents, give them a platform to come and showcase what they have, and also see how we can be able to now unlock the opportunities in them by telling them, giving them a task to come up with a solution to do that. Because the government has not looked towards that angle. And we feel that if the government has not been able to give them a task to do, they can not do anything. Facebook today is an idea. He was given a privilege and he pitched this idea, someone bought into the idea. We believe we can do that. We can domesticate our solutions. We can use this avenue to be able to create a lot of opportunities. One solution can power 10,000 jobs in Nigeria. And with this, I believe the government should be able to create an environment, should be able to prioritize and also see how they can encourage this local content. They've been talking and preaching about local content, but they don't patronize these young people. Yeah, because they can do it. They don't need to go to India to buy most of these solutions. They should keep them under one roof, incubate them, and see how they can be able to tax them to come up with a major issue. Of this, on cybersecurity, we have a lot of young people who are doing hacking, who are doing unethical things. Has government used an avenue to call them, put them on the roof, say, you guys, I want you to come up with this and this and this for us. We can be able to give you a prize for it. They can actually do it.
To the organizers of the program, what little word of encouragement do you have for them, knowing fully well that this is actually a very multi-tasked project that they are carrying on their shoulders? So what little word of advice do you have for them, and how do you encourage them to keep on doing the good work they are doing?
The Cybersecurity Association of Nigeria are doing very fantastic, because this is one of the professional platform. That's why I have to identify with it, because that is doing something in terms of changing the mindset of the way things are happening. Because we need to secure our environment. We are prone to attacks. We are all digital natives. We're sending a lot of information there out there. Nobody's protecting them, nobody's monitoring them, nobody's guided. So we need to now see how we can be able to use this avenue. So the government needs to see how they can support platforms like this, to see how they can be able to create a synergy and encourage them, and see how they can help these experts, because these are expert professionals on their own, but they need to see on how they can use them for nation development.
All right, I must say it's nice having you on the program.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, please, can we meet you? Can we know your names, please?
I'm Abiola Okundeko. I work as a managing partner of iSecure Consulting Limited, which happens to be a cybersecurity solution provider. And as a young Nigerian that believe in the Project Nigeria, so there's a program that that we run that's called Startup Southwest, just like we have in the Arewa. We have a Startup Arewa. So the concept is just for some of us that believe that Nigeria must be great again. We are trying to bring up the youth in Nigeria, that instead of them looking for white-collar jobs that are no more existing, so then whatever thing they might have learned or taught in the university or polytechnics, we want them to have a hands-on practical experience. So instead of Nigerian government going abroad, bringing software and something like that, we have incubators and accelerator programs for them, that all their technical skills can easily be enhanced. So then these guys, they can 30 or 32 states in the country, because we have a Startup Southwest startups area, which covers 19 states. Then we are having a startup Southeast, which at the end of the day we are trying to come up with a blueprint document for federal government of the country of Nigeria to say. So at the end of the day we have startup engineering and management. So the young ones in this country, they'll be able to be useful for Nigeria.
Please, any word of encouragement to the organizers of today's program?
Yeah, I think as far as I'm concerned, I'm part of the Cybersecurity Expert Association of Nigeria. They've done a wonderful job. I think what I would just say is this: the program must be private sector led, and the government must come to their aid, because I think I'm aware the association have a fantastic proposal for Nigerian government to have a human capacity building. So at the end of the day, we have so much cybersecurity warriors. Like we just heard about ransomware, that is the main thing in the world now. I think Nigerian government should be able to come up with a program for youth. So Nigeria will not be exporting oil alone, but they will be exporting IT gurus. So thank you.
All right, nice having you on the program.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.